Hi, I'm Danny Ramos, and welcome to this week's edition of Hispanic Speak Out TV, brought to you every week, Tuesday night, 9:30 p.m. on Bright House Cable. We've been on the air for 8 years, sponsored by Bright House Cable and other friends like the Hispanic Achievers. I want to remind you of the Hispanic Achievers license plate. This license plate came out this year and commemorates the 500-year anniversary of the Hispanic settling in Florida. All proceeds from the plate are distributed to nonprofit organizations throughout the state of Florida. So when you get one of these plates, you're putting back money into your own community, and you can go to the www.Hispanic Achievers website to get more information on how to get your plate. When your plate renewal comes up, just go down to the DMV and you can get your license plate and display Orgullo to ser Hispano. Also, another Hispanic Achievers project is the Lawyers Consumer Directory. This directory is now going into its third edition in Central Florida. We're launching in Tampa on July 1st. And if you're looking for an attorney, this is the place to find them. You can find the best attorneys in Central Florida in this book, and you get the book absolutely free of charge at any of the 160 7-Eleven stores throughout Central Florida. So don't listen to that commercial, on TV. Go get a book and thumb through this book and compare the attorneys and what they say to get the best attorney for what you're looking for. I'm here with Jose Miranda. He's my co-host. Jose, how you doing?
Hey, what's up? How are you?
Okay, I'm pretty good. Everything's been normal the past couple of weeks, normal as could be.
Okay.
And we're also here with Jason Henry, who has declared himself a candidate. He's running for office. You want to take it first? You want to take your pot shot first, or you want me to do it? Yeah.
Actually, I know we actually know Jason for a while now. He's been a close friend to our organizations and our radio time, our radio people, and stuff like that. He's also a reporter. And welcome to the show, man.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, both.
Oh, you're a reporter. You're thick-skinned. We're not going to have any fun with you.
And a warm welcome, and we're very excited to hear that you're running for office.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We are we have plenty of candidates, but we're short real people. So it's really great to see real people stepping up. So why the hell are you in this, man?
Well, there are a few reasons. I think we've seen the lack of real leadership in the state of Florida for a long time now. That's one reason. The second reason is I'm a father. I have a 2-year-old daughter. I actually just turned 2 on the 27th. So hi Zoe.
Good. Congratulations.
I have a wife. We've been married for over 4 years now. So I'm starting my family here in Central Florida. I want to make sure that my wife, my family, and my kids have the proper upbringing. Number one, and we have the proper leadership to lead us into the next decade and the next century. But I'm also concerned about what we've seen so far. When it comes to education, we have Governor Scott last year wanted to cut $1 billion from education, and this year he wants to add $1 billion back to it. We've seen the possible privatization of our public education system with the Parent Trigger Bill. We've seen the failed attempt to try to privatize our prison systems, which I'm pretty sure there's going to be another attempt at that next year.
Absolutely.
So I want to make sure that we have the proper leadership in place so that we can make sure that Florida's taken care of. We need vision, as you said, we need real people, and we need real leadership.
Why? Tell us a little about the prison system situation.
Sure.
Why are you against privatization of the prison system?
Well, if we look at it just from a bare bones level, I compare it closely to almost human trafficking. When you have organizations who are publicly traded companies, and the way they make their money is how many bodies they have in a bed, that's not to try to save money, that's to continue a cycle. We can trace this all the way back to education. We can trace this back to Florida's high recidivism rate, which is above 30% for especially African American teens between the ages of 18 and 25.
But the state hasn't really been successful in bringing a close to having these people go through a revolving door. We're like you say, we're warehousing these people. We're not training them, and then we throw them out.
Correct.
And expect them with a record to all of a sudden to become successful.
Exactly.
So don't
That's
you
not
think?
A rehabilitation system.
Yeah, but the state have screwed up for the longest time doing that. So don't you think that there should be a shot to give somebody else an opportunity to take a crack at it to see if it works?
Not with private organizations. We've seen. Look, when we talk about businesses that are traded on the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ, your bottom line is to make money. That's the goal of any business. But when we're talking about the lives of other human beings, that should not be your main goal. We've seen that was it Dean Cannon and Mike Herodopoulos, they tried to privatize the prison system this past session. Said it was going to save almost $7 million. There's a study.
That's not a lot of money to save.
It's not, but there was a study that came out.
It's a big number, but when you're talking about the prison system, it's not a lot of money.
It's not, but what usually happens is there was a study by a professor, I think from the University of Utah, where they said that what usually happens with these organizations is they keep the high-priced prisoners, they give those prisoners to the state, and they keep the low-cost prisoners, and in the long run, it actually costs the state more to privatize that system. We're also looking at some of these communities, especially some of the rural and urban areas in Florida. They have their communities are based off of the prison systems that are there. So a lot of the people who live in that community work for those prisons. So you're going to shut those prisons down, you're going to kick those people out, and then that's just going to contribute to a high unemployment rate and having these individuals having to, I don't want to say they have to lean on the government for assistance, but if that's a cycle that we're trying to stop, why would we want to continue that process?
What's your solution? While a prisoner is going through the process, he's not getting the proper attention he needs. And again, no matter who it is they're warehousing, they're not getting the proper attention that's needed in order to prepare him for coming out. So what would you do to change the system so that when they come out, there's something there that they can look forward to besides being unemployed?
Well, I think this is...
Or holding somebody up and going back in again.
This is rehabilitation, and this goes all the way back to when kids drop out of high school, and then that's when the recidivism starts. But if we're talking about strictly rehabilitation, it's not enough to say, okay, we're going to just push more money into the prison system, try to give you a little bit of training, okay, you're gone, you're out by yourself. We need to have programs set up for these inmates once they leave the prison system that we can say, okay, this is a trade that you can learn, this is a vocational program that we can enter you into so that we can properly train you so that when you are back out in the world and in society, that, these are different programs that we have set up for you for rehabilitation instead of just saying, we're done with you.
What does it cost, we talked about it one time, what does it cost to have some guy locked up for a year? Things like $75,000, $80,000, something like that?
It's pretty high.
Yeah, but now we're talking about money just across the board and considering our current economics. Where are we going to get these funds to do this rehabilitation? Not turning it over to the private sector, but where are we going to get these funds for the prison system, for the education system, for the teachers, et cetera, going down the line? And for some of these new antiquated laws that are about to become law under the current not this current administration, but under the current political system.
Sure. I think you've seen, we've been able to find money for other things. Whether we talk about cutting money from different programs, whether we talk about shifting money from this program to another one, I think it's just about prioritizing what's most important to the state of Florida. And we've heard President Obama talk about it, we heard President Bush talk about it, how education is going to be key to our success in the future. If we do not properly invest in our public education system, because that's where most of our students go, if we do not properly invest in our public education system, then the Florida that you know and love right now is going to be completely gone. I agree with you on public education.
Sure. But we still have the problem. I wanted to hit again on the problem that we have with educating people when they come out of prison. They're going to kill somebody or, to rob them. You know what I mean? They need to eat. You know what I'm saying?
Or they become politicians.
We have I think we have 25% of the world's imprisoned population is in the United States. 25%, 1 out of 4 people in the world that are in prison in the United States. That has a lot to do with the drug laws. It's been cited that we have the world's worst drug laws, so that we arrest people and give them 5, 10, 15 years for infractions that in other countries like Holland, Denmark, and in Europe, you get a fine for $5. You get a $5 fine. So our correction system is flooded with people that have a bag of marijuana, and they go to jail for 5 years for having a bag of marijuana. So we have to change the laws that have to do with drugs, because most of the people in the jails are mostly related to that. More than I think a third or half.
I think that goes back to your priority.
How do you feel about marijuana?
I'm not. I'll say this about marijuana.
Well, you in the same room?
Now, you know, there's states already that have it that are moving towards legalization.
Sure.
The medical aspects, which are also part to cover the legalization side, you know. But there's a lot of states moving in that direction because they can't support the the weight of the incarcerations that they have.
Well, I think, again, and I'll talk about priorities again, I think if that's something that we need to review to bring to the table to say that this is something that is increasing our prison and our jail numbers for, you know, a small bag of marijuana, if that's something that we need to review, then I think that we should most definitely put that on the table. But I keep saying priority because if we look at the last legislative session, they talked about privatizing prisons, they talked about the parent trigger bill, which is basically going to privatize public education. It goes back to what's going to be most important to our success in the future. And if that is something that we need to review and bring to the table, then I think that we should be open to it.
Yeah. What do you think about the privatizing education, Jose?
No,
do you think it should go or no?
No, I don't think. Right now, I think we need to be involved in our schools, both as parents, as individuals, as legislators. I think we need to be involved by doing this privatization stuff. It's more like you know, going to Yale or something like that. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not knocking on these institutions. Okay, I think we need involvement. I think where education lacks is the parental involvement, because you can only dictate to a child so many hours a day in school, and the rest has to be done at home, and a follow-up, and that protection and that enthusiasm that comes only from the home that could make the classroom a plus factor. So I'm concerned about turning it over.
You know that we have a lot of kids that are latchkey kids. You know what I mean? You have parents that they both work 12 hours a day. They're on their own, so they're not being supervised properly at home. And then you have a lot of kids whose parents don't care. You know, we have unwed mothers. We have kids running in the streets in the middle of the night. So what do you do about that? I mean, that's like a very difficult situation. When you're saying parents be involved, absolutely. But what about the parents who don't care or don't have the opportunity?
Some of them don't have the opportunity, and like you said, some of them do not care. I think that's for a lot of kids, unfortunately, going to school from 8 o'clock in the morning to 3 o'clock in the afternoon is almost daycare, because it is, and
they're warehousing their kids and expecting somebody to take care of them and do everything else.
You look what happens to a lot of kids on spring break and summer. They no longer have that supervision. It's not because some of their parents don't care; it's because some of their parents have to continue that work schedule to make sure that food is on the table. So again, I think this goes back to shifting what's going to be most important to our success in the future. We have to reinvest in public education. That's not necessarily saying we're just going to push a bunch of money into public education to fix our problems, because we've seen that. I cannot remember the amount of money that we spend per pupil, but it hasn't necessarily worked. I think we need to look at different ways of educating our kids. We can't sit here and say that the way that you were educated, the way that you were educated, the way that I was educated coming up in elementary school is going to continue to work for kids when their environment is consistently and constantly changing. Our opportunities are totally different, our environment is totally different, so we need to look at different ways of how can we catch their attention and how do we make sure that, again, we're going to set them up for success.
Tell us how we're going to reach you.
You can find me a couple of ways. My website is www.electjasonhenry.com. I'm also the president of the Orange County Young Democrats. You can find me there. It's www.ocydfl.org.
Phone number?
Phone number.
Someplace
like your cell number, so they can call you at 3 o'clock in the morning.
I'll tell you what, my email address.
You're a good-looking guy. I'm sure there's a lot of women who are watching.
Whoa, come on!
Oh, you're married. I'm sorry.
Come on.
Okay. I forgot about that part. All right, so get him on the website. His name is Jason Henry, and he's running for Florida State House of Representatives, District 46. This is Danny Ramos. We're going to do a quick break, and we'll be right back. Thanks.
Thanks, bro.
Hi, I'm Danny Ramos, and welcome back to Hispanic Speak Out TV, brought to you every single week on Bright House Cable, Channel 49. I'm here with my co-host, Jose Miranda. In front of you is the Hispanic Achievers License Plate. This license plate has been created by the state legislature. It was voted on last year, celebrating the 500-year anniversary of Hispanics settling in Florida by Juan Ponce de Leon, who was the governor of Puerto Rico. He landed in Brevard County in a wooden ship, and they named the peninsula that they landed on Florida. All the proceeds from this plate go to nonprofit organizations to help them fund their services to the community. So if you're Hispanic, pick up a Hispanic Achiever license plate, put it on your car, Orgullo de Ser Hispano, and don't forget that this helps the community grow. We also have, as a project, the Lawyers Consumer Directory. This directory is produced by Hispanic Achievers, and it was created to help fund our programs, and lawyers run their ads and information in here. And you can pick this up in any 7-Eleven store throughout Central Florida. It's absolutely free of charge. You'll find lots of lawyers, and you'll find information about how to hire a lawyer, what questions to ask, information on bankruptcy, foreclosure, and other good information that you may need. And it's absolutely free of charge at any 7-Eleven in Central Florida. Again, I'm here with my co-host, Jose Miranda, and we're here with Michael Ertel. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah.
Ertel?
Close enough, yeah.
And he's the supervisor of elections for Seminole County. Usually we don't have people here from Seminole County.
That's true.
Although we broadcast in Seminole County, is that something that we got to expand upon, or what?
We need to
Where do you
expand a little
live?
bit. I live in Orange.
Oh, I live in Seminole.
My
So you've been
condolences.
dominating this show. You've been sneakily bringing in all your own people, huh? Okay, I got it now. I got you. I caught up to you. Okay, what is the supervisor of elections actually? Do you actually get paid for this?
I do, actually. It's a full-time job.
Yeah, and what do you do?
We do a couple of things. First of all, we run the elections. We make
Okay.
sure that the elections are run in a fashion where when the election is over, the only thing that you think of and everyone out there thinks of is my candidate won or my candidate lost.
Right.
You don't say the process was a mess. So
You mean like the thing
the
in
Chad?
the Chad debacle?
Are you
I
the
started in
Chad?
2005.
Did
Just
you?
want to point that
Okay.
out. Right. I started in
Yeah, no,
2005.
That's a disclaimer.
Right. Yeah.
What happened? What is the physical system of checking? Is it all electronic now? Because they also had a problem with electronic one time, didn't they? When the machines went down, right?
Yeah, and one thing we do in our office is we have to balance. We have an 8-word mission statement. Efficient elections are the first 2 words. Make sure that everything we do is the most efficient process possible. And then there's 4 more words in the middle, and then the bottom 2 words, though, are voter confidence. And so a few years ago, folks started introducing the electronic voting, which, as an elections administrator, is so much more efficient. It's so much quicker. It gets the results quicker. It's a snap. But voters didn't trust it.
Well, I
And
don't
if the
know
voters
if I
don't trust it,
Yeah.
then it's no good. So, our number one job, our bottom line, is make sure that voters and the candidates and everybody trust the system that we have in place. Because in every single election, at least half of the candidates are going to lose. And when they lose, we don't want them blaming me. We don't want them blaming Bill Cowles, the Orange County supervisor, a great supervisor, by the way. We want to make sure that they say, well, maybe my platform was the wrong platform, or maybe I didn't get enough volunteers out there for me.
So the system used in Seminole County is electronic.
It's paper.
It's paper.
It's
It's
paper.
hard
We
paper.
vote on paper. It is a
And
piece of paper.
what
that
is
we
it?
vote on.
You write in with a pencil.
Right, you
and
bubble
dark?
it in.
You bubble it in
with a pencil,
No
just like
cutting through. No chads.
No cutting through. No chads.
Okay.
Chad has left the state.
Okay, so that gives you a verifiable situation. Why did you not go electronic? Because a lot of people have gone electronic in the United States.
And it's really fun. It's fun to do the thing that's hip and brand new, but remember those 2 bottom lines, voter confidence. And so we're going to do the system that is the most trusted. And until I stop getting spam emails, we're not going with electronic voting.
Right. I can see that.
Is your concern, and just from a layman's perspective, I'm just concerned about whether I receive my ballot, whether I receive it at home, whether I can go to a place without getting hassled. Are these things that concern you also, or is this a small segment of everything?
No, it's a huge concern, because the fact that you're concerned is a voter confidence issue. So we're in the opportunity business. Our job is to make sure that you know that you have the opportunity to go out and cast a ballot in a campaign-free zone, meaning there's not candidates there right on top of you as you're trying to vote, in a hassle-free zone. So if you want to vote from home, we'll let you vote from home. We'll mail the ballot to you. You can call, you're in Orange County, call the Orange County Elections Office tomorrow, let them know you want the ballot mailed to you so you can vote in your living room or vote in your kitchen. And then in Seminole County, if you go to our website, which is trackmyabsentee.com, you can actually track your absentee ballot like you track a FedEx package.
Really?
So you have the security of knowing that I didn't just put this in the mailbox. Yeah, I didn't just put this in the mailbox.
Right.
I know I can track it, and I can find out online whether or not my vote counted. Now, I can't find out online for whom I voted, because that would have a security issue. But I can certainly find out whether or not our office received your ballot.
Is your office in any way influenced by the parties? whether you're Democrat, Independent, Republican.
Are you appointed
This is
by
it's-
an existing party that's in office, or how does a person like you get the job? Who ordained you?
Right. Well, the beauty of our system here in Florida is that your county supervisor of elections is beholden to the people in the county, to the voters. I'm voted upon by the electorate.
So you have to run.
So I have to run, right? And so much like a sheriff has to run, but the sheriff is not beholden to the county commission. I'm not beholden to the county commission or the state legislature or the governor even. So I'm beholden to the people of Seminole County. So what I do is to ensure that the process is smooth there. And you asked about the party affiliation question, and it's something that comes up all the time. And it's kind of like when Kennedy was elected back in 1960.
Right.
There was a big hubbub, thinking that the Catholic Church was going to run the White House were he to get elected.
Right.
Well, they didn't. He happened to be a Catholic who was elected president. So as your supervisors of elections throughout the state of Florida, 66 of the 67 are elected positions. All of them are run on the ballot, but they're not beholden to a party. And in fact, we do things that will upset each of the political parties. So and it please each of the political parties. So today I may make one party happy, tomorrow I'm going to make another party happy. Conversely, today I'll make one party upset, and tomorrow I'll make another party upset.
I understand.
But it's an administrative role.
What constitutes harassment at the polling place? Because in the last few elections, we saw that there were people standing in the poll areas trying to intimidate people not to come forward to vote.
You're talking in Philadelphia and in Pennsylvania, right?
Yeah.
And you'd heard about that. And what happens is we don't have that in Florida. It's not as prevalent in Florida as it is anywhere else.
But what if it was? What happens?
Well,
we
have
have some controversial situations going on now in Florida.
Seminole County.
Yeah, okay, so right in your backyard. So what happens if that arises? Is it against the law for someone to loiter or to present a harassing? You got to look at what defines harassing, whether it's presence, physical presence, or language.
Right.
Is that against the law within a certain number of feet in Seminole County?
Absolutely. And in fact, throughout the state of Florida, the campaign has been going on for some of these candidates for about 6 years. And so by the time the November election comes along, as a candidate, or as a voter, pardon me, you want to go to the polls in that last 100 feet. That's all we ask the candidates to leave you alone, is in that last 100 feet. In Seminole County, we call it the campaign-free zone. And so 100 feet from the front door to the polling location to outside in the parking lot, 100 feet out, is a campaign-free zone. It's only for voters. Candidates can't be out there.
See,
with
I think it should be 500 feet.
Well, there was a legal
pull,
challenge about that before.
Yeah, when I pull my car into the parking lot, I don't want to be attacked by anybody. I don't want to receive any flyers. I don't want nobody trying to sell me. I just want to park my car and go in.
Well, it's kind of like a point of purchase sale.
Yeah.
You always buy the gum at the Target, at the thing at Target, because it's right there and it's closest to the thing. So the candidates are thinking, let's get him as close as he is to the actual voting booth. So there were some legal challenges a couple years ago where it was 500 feet, and then they ended up pushing it back to.
Well, that's
50.
because politicians want they got to get reelected. The guys who are voting in the law are the guys who made the rule. So that's kind of nuts. So,
what made you decide that this was your calling, as opposed to I don't know,
running for state office, like a senator or
like
a state senator?
Well, this is a dual role. I'm 8 years in the Army, so I'm kind of detail oriented, and I'm forced to be detail oriented in the Army. And I love politics.
Welcome home, Bob.
Thank you. I love politics, but I don't love the conflict that comes with politics.
Okay.
I like being able to administer the process in a fashion where, through this whole next year, you're going to hear from each political side things about the process to scare you.
Sure.
One side is going to say illegal immigrants are trying to flood the polls, and they're going to try to scare you with it. Another side is going to say that one political party doesn't want you to register to vote. They're trying to scare you. Each side is trying to scare you to bring their base together. It's our job as election administrators to ensure that you're comfortable with the process, that while you're getting scared over here and you're getting scared over here, there's a safe harbor in the elections process.
Right. Now tell me, so there's a clear understanding here, and you mentioned immigration, for example, illegal immigrants voting, and there's been a big push for alleged voting fraud, which, if you look at the numbers across the board, across the United States, the numbers aren't there to justify that. Have you since you've been in office, and you've been in office since 2005, I believe?
Yeah, 7 years.
Okay. Voting fraud, is it a big issue?
It's not a big issue because we stop it.
Okay.
So, it's like, folks getting into car accidents. Well, there's red lights to stop people, to float, to control the traffic. It's not a big issue because we stop it, because the systems we have in place are there to ensure that the things that you hear about happening in other states don't happen here in Florida.
Okay.
We have an ID. When you go to the polls, I can't go to Danny's polling location off of Lake Mary Boulevard and say, hey, I'm Danny Ramos, I'm here to cast his ballot for him.
Mm-hmm.
I have to actually show an ID, I have to do a signature comparison to make sure that I'm not trying to vote on his behalf.
The numbers that you've seen, because I don't mean to press you on this, but
That's all right.
this seems to be an issue where people are really pressing that we have to have all these strict IDs and accountability, because in the past we've had so much fraud perpetuated on the state. Can you categorically say that since '05, the attacks of fraud are far less than the media has been putting out?
Well, it depends on which media you're looking at. Some media will tell you that fraud is so prevalent that the entire system needs to be changed.
Right.
Some media will tell you that there is no fraud, don't worry about it, just open the doors, let everybody in, and don't ask for their ID. Don't even ask to make sure that they are who they are to pick up a ballot on behalf of Danny Ramos.
Mm-hmm.
So, there is a happy medium, and there is a common sense medium in between, and that's kind of what we try to do in our office, is create that safe harbor where that, I'm hearing noise over here, I'm hearing noise over here, but here's where the truth is.
Okay. You're going to make a great politician, man.
I'm not a politician. I'm an administrator of elections.
So you like your job?
I do. I like it a lot.
Well, it's a middle ground that you're in the fray, but nobody's shooting at you.
I'll sort of explain it this way. This year, my fantasy football team name was Switzerland.
Okay.
And this year at the Super Bowl, I didn't care about either team. I'm a Bucs guy because I'm from Seminole County, so I grew up with the Bucs. Hope none of you guys are Dolphins fans. But this year at the Super Bowl, I went to a Super Bowl party, and I wore a referee uniform. That's kind of like what my role is, in the office. I'm kind of like the referee. And whenever there's a game that's won or lost, who's the first one that's going to get blamed? The referee. So I understand that's what my role is. I have to have thick skin and just enjoy it.
Okay, we appreciate it.
Well, we appreciate you coming on. It's great having you. How does what's your website if people want information on Seminole County?
Well, if they want the official election stuff, it's voteseminole.org. Since this is Hispanic Achievers, it's votoseminole.org as well. So we have a Spanish language website, an English language website. My direct line, if you want to call, is 407-708-7712. So I give it out to everybody. My cell number is 407-687-3654.
He's a brave guy.
If you want to call me at home for some reason, it's after 8 o'clock and I don't pick up my cell, it's 407-365-0755. Give us a call.
Okay. Well, we appreciate it. It's nice having you. Okay. It's a pleasure having you here. Don't forget the Hispanic Achiever license plate. It's got every DMV throughout the state of Florida. It belongs to our organization. We passed it in the state legislature. It's the Hispanic Achievers. Our website is hispanicachievers.org. You can go onto that website and find out how to order the plate or have it customized. You can put your name on this plate, but it takes 6 weeks for it to deliver, or you can go to any DMV and pick up the standard plate. Looks like this, okay? And just pay the specialty plate fee. All of the fees that are collected for this plate, just like the Orlando Magic plate and some of the other plates, ours go to nonprofit minority organizations throughout the state of Florida. So when you actually get this plate on your car, it's not only Orgullo Ser Hispano, but you also help to give out grants to needy Hispanic students. I'm Danny Ramos, my co-host Jose Miranda. This is Hispanic Speak Out TV every Tuesday night on Bright House Cable, prime time, 9:30 p.m. We'll see you next week.